Welcome. Thanks for joining me. We are now in summer 2024. Today is July the 1st, 2024, right before our big holiday known as July 4th here in the United States, our anniversary of the independence of this great nation. I always have a lot of fun on July 4th. For those who don't know me, I do this 10K run every July 4th. And I've been doing this now. This will be my 10th. I've been doing this since 2015. A lot of fun called the Peachtree Road Race. We have about close to 60,000 people who show up at that race. A lot of fun. Wow. I give the Atlanta Track Club, who organizes this race, a lot of credit for wrangling nearly 60,000 of us to run down that road. And it's a party. It's great. I have a lot of fun doing that one. Anyway, enough about the road race on July 4th. Independence Day coming up here as I speak in 2024 in the ATL. Today, I have Steph Sammons. She is a folk artist in the vein of Indigo Girls and Bonnie Raitt, people like that. And she is absolutely amazing. Has a great new album out called Time and Evolution. We get into that. It was produced by Mary Bragg up there in Nashville, Tennessee. We always get into Nashville and know how wonderful that town is and how supportive they are in getting artists really out there and really performing and putting out great new records or recordings, as the kids now say these days. Records is for the older folks, I'm sure. Anyway, great tracks on this album. We get into it, how deep they are, and they're very, very personal for Steph. She's outside of Dallas. We tried scheduling this interview much earlier, but storms were heading that way. I know how that goes. I lose power all the time here in the ATL when these horrible storms pop through here, take out the internet and the power and all that. That's our Achilles heel, at least for me it is. If it wasn't for all that stuff, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. Anyway, we have a great talk. I hope you enjoy our conversation, and I'll see you on the other side of this. Now, where are you? You're in Texas today or somewhere
Yeah,
else? Okay.
I live in Dallas.
Okay.
Grew up in a town, Plano, Texas, a little bit north of here. Um, and then I do try to spend a significant amount of time in Nashville. I started going to Nashville um, to do these small group performing songwriter workshops. Back in 2016 was my first one. And so I've continued to develop relationships there and build a community there. And it's really such a small town within, a booming city. But the songwriter community, um, there's kind of a culture war going on there between what kind of songwriter are you? Um, but that community of the organic roots type of music songwriters is so supportive and incredible, and I've made some great friends, and I just really love it there. I love spending time there. So I'm not gonna, I might try and find a condo or something there, but my parents are here and they're in their 80s, and so I need to be close by. So, it's one of those things.
Yeah, yeah, and you write a lot about this in your work. It's just really, really incredible stuff, how your journey as to what is now culminated into time and evolution. So
Yeah.
how did that main title come about?
Yeah, one of the singles on the song that we released as on the album that we released as a single is called Billboard Sign. And that is a song about the coming out experience, my coming out experience in a conservative culture, in a traditional Southern Baptist home, growing up in the First Baptist Church downtown Plano, Texas. Um, church Sunday morning, Sunday evening, Wednesday night, potluck dinner thing. Um, and bringing all of that into one song to not only share the hardship of that experience over so many years, but also what was going on in my mind with, if my parents reject me, then I believed the church rejects me. God must reject me. And yet we have these billboard signs, and the one in particular I talk about is Jesus Saves, period, that was on I-75. And it's just time and evolution is a phrase that I sing in that song.
Yeah.
And it's in the part of the song that's the bridge where I'm thanking God for the morning dove, which represents peace, and for um, time and evolution, because that is what it took for my family to heal. And we just decided, Mary Bragg, my producer, and I talked through potential titles. And she was like, what about Faithless? Because I have a song called Faithless. I
Right.
was like, no, you know, that might send the wrong message of what I'm trying to say in that song. And so we decided on Time and Evolution that would be an appropriate title for the album.
Yeah. How long did it really take to, I mean, is there still more healing? Was there a certain time frame where everybody came to terms with your coming out? And you came out at 19.
I
So
did.
all these years now, did that take a long time or is it still a work in progress?
I mean, I came out and, grappled with whether or not it was okay or it was right or wrong from a Christian perspective for a number of years. I even dated guys here and there, and I was confused in a way because I really believed, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go to hell. Um, but yet I have this thing, and how do I navigate this? How do I live my authentic self? I mean, anyone who has come out as LGBTQ has been through this if they're from a religious background. Um, but the strange, they confronted me when I was 27. So we never talked about it until then. And
Wow.
I was bringing people I was seeing around. They were allowed to come over and spend time with my family. But then one time I went home and was having dinner with them, and my dad confronted me at the dinner table. And I was shocked, and I was petrified and frozen. And I thought, both of them sitting there staring at me. Um, I have to tell the truth.
Yeah.
I'm going
Yeah.
to tell the truth. And I made a split decision to tell the truth. And then that launched really a decade of time of difficulty, despair, excuse me, distance. Couldn't bring anyone home. So I had to choose, am I going to spend my holidays with my partner, or am I going to spend it with my parents? And we've never, and they wrote me some really nasty letters uh, that I don't really even know if they remember, but they were incredibly damaging to me, incredibly hurtful. Um, I was a basketball player in high school and college. I was a straight A student, I was the pleaser. And one of the phrases in the letter was, "You are knocked off the pedestal. You
Uh,
know, you are no longer, you live in a cesspool. You're so disappointed. You're such a disappointment." And it was horrible. Um, so the thing about it is we've healed significantly. We have a good relationship. I've been with my now wife. We've been married 8 years, but together 18.
Mm,
Um, and they love her like a daughter, you know.
that's amazing. Yeah, I think
And
maybe
they didn't
mellows them a little bit. Who knows?
what?
That age kind of might mellow them a little bit. That they've changed that way. Was a little bit of
Yeah.
that.
My mom came around first and she wouldn't meet Kay, my wife, until we had been dating for a year.
Wow.
So maybe that says something about me and my track record. But uh and then she brought my dad along. And my mom came to our wedding. My dad did not. That was 8 years ago. So, that's kind of where he drew his line in the sand, had drawn his line in the sand. But the thing is, we've never talked about that period of time, the things that were said and done. They sent me all kinds of propaganda from Exodus International. And
Mm,
I had gotten to a point where I was in such despair about it that I was seeing a therapist, and she said, people lose their parents all the time. And you are not going to die if you lose your parents. You will be okay, but
yeah.
you have got to have the courage to live your life. And there was a little bit of a shift when I finally decided, okay, I'm going to pretend that I don't have parents anymore. And then that sort of started the wheels turning very, very slowly.
Yeah, I just can't even imagine as a parent to even do that. I think it's almost kind of cult-like with their way of thinking. It's like, damn the consequences. We're sticking to our guns here. And I think that the way that they're brought up, they're in their 80s now, and they're from that era where it's like they were taught that, oh, it's a sickness. This can be
Right.
fixed. My parents' generation was like that too. They were around that same age, and yeah, I remember very clearly, especially in the 70s into the 80s, that there was a lot of that talk like, oh yeah, this is a sickness. It needs to be dealt with as a problem that you could totally turn around. And it reminds me of that old clip from Ronald Reagan back in the 60s saying that's, oh yeah, people need to go into a doctor and need to be really turned around. And
Yes.
the DSM-4, psychologists, I think this was probably the late 60s, said, no, it's not working. So,
Yeah.
get over this. It's not gonna, we're wrong. And but then there are people who are thinking, oh yeah, this is when culture declined because they didn't treat it as such. So, but you think back now, it's just so barbaric to even think that way.
Right. Yeah,
Unbelievable.
and to it's understandable given their belief system, given the disappointment in that, you have a vision for what you want your kid's life to be. I mean, Kay and I have raised two sons together that she adopted from Russia before me.
Hmm.
They were 4 and 6 when I came into the picture. They're 21 and 24 now. And of course, I've learned a lot being a parent, but okay, I understand um, how that was disappointing to them to learn who I really am. Um, and then that combined with where we were back this was the early 90s. Uh, and I came out, yeah, right around that time. That was just a different time for people like us. It was just, I was in the closet most of my career, and scared to death if somebody found out about me, how it would impact my career. So culture has come a long way. Of course, we've had setbacks, but I don't
Yeah.
know. It's understandable when you combine that with the deeply entrenched religious beliefs that took that stance, and they believed that was the right way.
Yeah. They didn't know from anything else. So in a certain
Right.
way, it's like you can't blame them, but on another way, it's like this is personal. You hurt me so bad, and this is something that gets so ingrained in me and like has hit my self-esteem. I don't know if they
Bingo.
would understand that.
Bingo. It destroyed my self-confidence, had an enormous impact on my self-confidence that I later realized. And I remember having a conversation with Emily Salyers from the Indigo Girls, and we were talking about our coming out experience. And she said, "Oh, my parents were great. They were like, oh, yeah, we knew." And I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine. There's such a difference in your journey and the person you become based on that experience. And that's when I really started to own my journey and wanted to talk about it. And so the way that I do that is through song. And I don't really talk about it. Like I said, my parents and I really haven't talked about that whole experience, that period of time.
Yeah,
But
and
it
it's
came out in
great
song.
that it's really great that you've channeled that into your art.
Yeah. And not really, I've realized that about myself. The things that bother me and the things that marinate in my mind and the feelings that I have, I don't really share them with the person. I end up writing about them. That's how I'm expressing myself. And it's scary sometimes. Um, I had an EP back in 2017, and my wife and I were going through some struggles. And so I wrote a song about, it's called Trying. And uh, it's just a song about, you know, should we let go? It's just we should get credit for trying, but it's just not working or whatever. And every time I play on a stage or something, she's like, please don't play that hateful song.
Hmm. It's
Please
like,
don't play a hateful song about me. I'm like, honey, nobody knows it's about us and just it's okay. But anyway, yeah.
yeah, it's like this is my therapy. This is how I had to work through this. Relationships are really tough. You have to probably
Yes.
the toughest things you'll have in life.
Yes. Yes.
But it gives you material. This is how
It
you
gives me material and you never know what might come out in song. So, be careful about our conversations. That's a songwriter.
yeah, absolutely. Gosh, a lot of feelings in the song "Faithless," and incredibly personal, and writing about the things that happen. Like, oh my God, if there's a God, why are these things happening? And a lot of people question that. Just if there is a God, just simply sitting there idly by watching the world destroy itself, is this the plan, or is there really a God?
Right. Yeah. And really and truthfully, that song is, I think what I was really trying to get at was, is there only one way? Is there only one group of select people who are going to have the best deal, um, and have the best lot in life and have the best deal in the afterlife, whatever that is, um, because that is the evangelical Christian mentality, and it's sort of it's a song about, what about everybody else? What about my friend who seemed great on Facebook, which is another conversation in and of itself,
Yeah.
with her two grown kids and her dog, pictures, experiences, and all of that, and then she's gone. She can't handle this life, and she takes her own life. What happens to her?
Yeah. Yeah, this whole format of social media, you're putting out an image and it could be nothing like what's going on in real life. I think a lot of people
Yeah,
do that.
yeah,
some
for
people
sure.
are very, very like they pour their hearts out. I have a friend who lost his wife to MD, and then he got
Mm.
in a horrible car accident just the other way. And like so much stuff going on and he's honest, he's on there every single day. You know what you're getting with him, but like other people, it's like everything's just so hunky dory. They're traveling the world. It's like, I don't know where you're
Yeah.
getting the money. I have no idea. But they could be very sad, once this thing gets shut off.
Yeah. We have some friends who've been together 20 years, and we've spent some holidays with them and everything. And their Facebook was just beautiful on there every day, pictures of all their travels, traveling the world, so happy, so in love, and they're getting divorced, So it's just that really is interesting why we do that, why we put up a facade. And I guess social media just sort of puts that on display for everyone to see. Because we probably do that a little bit in our day-to-day lives anyway. We don't really want people to see what our struggles are necessarily. But sometimes we are we do share that stuff in person. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
that's very true. And social media just amplifies all that. Just
Amplified.
when we're in our real lives, we're not sitting there pouring our hearts out and saying, "Oh my gosh, I'm really hurting today. I just like to just like get out of here." And then, I think this is how like the ultra famous are as well. They had got a public image, they want to keep
Mm,
the private. And my God, Robin Williams killed himself. I'm like ready to have a heart attack in the supermarket. Of course, I'm getting this on my phone, who I loved. I saw him live years and years ago as a
oh.
teenager. Yeah, I love that guy. Just his energy. And I just like, he was such an inspiration. I'm in the supermarket with my daughter, and I'm like, oh my God. Like, this is the worst thing about having the smartphone all the time. It's like you get the news instantly, no matter where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a mystery. And so that song Faithless is the uneven distribution of suffering really bothers me, and it's a real mystery. I think about it a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Good reactions when you're playing these songs live, or have you been getting people saying, "Yeah, I could totally relate with this."
Yeah, I just played the Kerrville Folk Festival here in Texas, and I played Billboard Sign, which is the coming out song, and then I played Faithless, and the response to Faithless was it blew me away. It really blew me away. And even there was a preacher there who does their Sunday services because it's an 18-day festival and tons of people camp out there for 18 days. I did not camp. I'm, I'm too, it's too hot, too hot. And I needed a
Yeah, especially
mattress.
there.
But he came up to me after that song and he said, if you're here next Sunday, would you play that song for the congregation? And it really moved him. And so I wasn't there, unfortunately, so I didn't get to play it for them. But that song has definitely received a variety of reactions, and uh it's hitting people, it seems, moving people.
Yeah. Yeah. Another song that really gets me that's very personal is Year of the Dog. And that
Mm,
really, takes a good deep dive into a lot of the themes here.
yeah. Yeah, You're the Dog is really a song about uh it's pulling from my struggles with God. Um and feeling like, hey, I followed your commands. I did all the right things. I was a good person. I obeyed. But was my love in vain because I'm trapped in this prison of shame. I'm chained up, and that's what that song is really about.
Yeah, the Baptist church and the
Yeah.
feelings that are, yeah, very big down here, even in Georgia. That's for sure. I'm sure big in Texas. It's
Oh
just in
yeah.
every, almost every corner Baptist church.
Yeah. 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 And that song has a little bit more of a rock and roll kind of a
Yeah.
vibe to it. And it didn't start out, that's not what the song started out to be. And sometimes that happens when you're writing a song that you realize, oh, wait a second. I just tapped into something that I'm feeling. And then it was actually a song about me, but it didn't start that way. And not all of my songs are autobiographical. Most of them are, but that one did not start out to be, and then it ended up being.
Yeah, that's right what you know. That's really where, the power comes in and just makes it so much more organic. And you could really feel that through this. The production, Mary Bragg, what was it like working with Mary Bragg? And also you do some collaboration with Guy Clark. How do you all work together to create this?
Well, Guy Clark, his his main the guy who toured with him, who wrote songs with him, who played guitar for him, that's my friend Verlin Thompson.
Oh, Verlin Thomas. Yeah. Okay.
And Verlin sings and plays on
Yeah.
one of the songs, which I invited him to come and do, and he's just a doll. I love him so much. He's just a wonderful human being. Um, but working with Mary Bragg was really a wonderful experience. I feel so fortunate that I got to work with it. It was like work with her. It was like being in the right place at the right time. When I reached out to her, it was the right time. She loved my songs, said, yes, I'd love to work with you. And everything just fell into place. Even the timing from when I reached out in May, we already had it booked for July to get in the studio. And man, she's just so good. I don't know if you've ever heard her perform.
I've seen some, yeah, YouTube stuff and all of that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow.
And she's a
Yeah.
Georgia gal.
Yeah, you got some Georgia connections here too, and especially with Indigo Girls and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. Have you played her before? Or like I always promote Eddie's Attic. That's the
Oh
Indigo
man,
Girls
I
one.
mean, I would love to play Eddie's Attic. I haven't. I haven't played in Georgia yet.
Oh
Yet.
wow. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Indigo Girls need to hook you up and get you to Eddie's Attic. It's a cute
Yeah.
little Decatur's a little east of Atlanta and it's in their downtown. It's just really cute.
Oh, I've
I've done
heard.
a lot of work there.
Oh, that's awesome. I've
Yeah.
heard so many great things about it, and it's on my list. You know, it seems like every city has a little place like that, and not large cities necessarily, but those are the kinds of venues that are are perfect, you know, because there's some intimacy in a venue of that size, and I love that. That's important.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great little venue where you basically you really connect there. I always like the vibe of that room. And I'm sure, yeah, Emily really probably loves playing there.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
has played all kinds of venues, but yeah, things like that where you really do connect with that audience. And yeah, really, really good. Yeah, I hear so many influences in your stuff, and I would think that Bonnie Raitt is probably way up there, and Emmylou Harris.
You mean up there in what respect?
As far as like who's been inspiring you.
Oh, for sure. Yes. Bonnie Raitt. I mean, there's a little bit of blues, I think, here and there in my songs. Uh, some chords here and there. But yeah, I loved Bonnie Raitt, still love her today. I loved Sean Colvin.
Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a while.
Of course, I loved the Indigo Girls. I loved Sheryl Crow. Um, lots of those, and Emmylou Harris, of course. Lots of those women really paved the way.
Yeah. I've seen Sheryl Crow a few times. She played here during the Olympics, and then I saw her in 2022. She was part of ATL Fest with Lionel Richie and Billy Joel, and it was just
Oh,
I love seeing
wow.
her play to that crowd. It was
Oh,
big stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium here. So it's just like she's amazing. And a Nashville resident too. And you've obviously worked in Nashville. You recorded there and you attended a writer's workshop there. What a great vibe that city is.
that city is a great vibe, great energy. And I actually attended, I think I'm up to 26 of those workshops.
Great names involved in there too. Susie Bogus. That's the name
Yeah,
that goes back. I was like,
yeah.
what? Yeah, that's amazing. Oh, really amazing.
And she's great. Each mentor brings something different to the table in terms of what they teach you. And Susie was uh, there to primarily teach us how to perform, how to get ready for a performance, how to stand up on stage with confidence. And so her workshop, I think I've done two with her, maybe three. It was very valuable. In fact, I still have notes in my phone before I go on stage from Susie that I read as a
Yeah.
reminder,
Yeah,
of what,
there's a real art to that, I'm sure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
And there
really,
were
really incredible.
and there were others, I've been to 4 or 5 Emily workshops, and they're small groups, so you have time with the person one on one. Mary Gaucher, Jonathan Brooke, and so I've built relationships with them over the years that are more like friendships, and not that we talk every day or anything like that. I mean, we can go 6 months or a year without touching base, but I I love them and they've taught me so much, and all of the songs on this album, those folks have fingerprints on my songs. Either the way that the melody, the lyrics, um, they might have said, "Gosh, I really love this song, and what if you use this chord here instead of that chord to just make a little bit to just create a mood shift or something like that." And just really important stuff that influenced my writing and my musicality.
Yeah. And then obviously those influences are there in the studio, Mary Bragg on Living and Dying, and then
Yeah.
Verlin on Grow Up. So it must have
Yes.
been fantastic getting them really to collaborate with you on those tracks as well.
Yeah, it was really cool. And what was amazing about Mary Bragg is she heard these songs and imagined the production of these songs in the same way that I did. And that happened through really good communication. She's a very good communicator and a very good listener. And so it was just seamless us working together. I was like, "Oh, this is the vibe. This you got it. This is perfect." And then the harmonies that she finds in a song and where she comes in and her voice is just blew me away.
Yeah. Great to have them in the studio and working. So this was all studio collaboration. This wasn't like pandemic production where people are sending files back and forth.
No, this was like full on immersion for, I think it was about 7 days in the studio, and very intense, hard. Uh, but man, I love that experience. I love making records. It's so fun. It is so fun.
Yeah, yeah, and a great crew with you too. A Grow Up is an interesting song where you have a sister very close in age to you, and that seemed to be fodder for this track on how that came to be. How has that been received?
Well, yeah, my sister is 14 months younger than I am, and she's had her share of struggles with substance abuse and sort of in and out of that world. Um, but man, she never gives up. She's a fighter. She gets back on top of things, and um, she's a pretty amazing person. But she has been my muse for some of my songs, and she hasn't heard all of my songs. And even if she did hear, I don't know if she's heard. I know she's heard "Grow Up" before, but she's never thought, I wonder if that's about me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you know, that song was written during a point of frustration because I was helping her get some help, get some therapy. She had come home from Georgia. She lived in what was the town? Decula?
Yeah, yeah, not too far from me. It's a little
Okay.
like northeast of where I'm at. I'm in Peachtree Corners near Norcross. So it's like, yeah, northeast of me.
Yeah, okay. That all
Decula.
sounds familiar.
Same county.
But she came home from, really, life had gotten very difficult there for her. Um, because she had just gotten involved with the wrong people and kind of gone downhill and just self-destructed. And so she had come home, and I was getting her set up with someone who was helping her a lot. And I got an invoice in the mail, and this was the second one that I got. And he was expensive, an expensive person for her
Mm.
to see. And it said stamp no show on the invoice. So she didn't show up,
Oh,
and I was getting charged. And
uh,
so I was so upset about that. Instead of calling her, I flipped over that invoice and I wrote that song about when are you going to grow up? When are you going to grow up? And that's where that came from.
oh wow. Isn't it amazing where you get the inspiration for something like from an incident like that? So I hope she's doing much better. It's
She
something
is.
that you're always an addict. I think it really
Yeah.
comes down to that. You have to work on it every day the rest of your life. I've met people in the music industry too, because it's rife with that. And
Right.
the ones who, I mean, it's always every day. It's a challenge. You just have that in
Yeah.
your personality as somebody who's an addict. So always
Right.
like that.
Right. I mean, it's a disease, and it's we don't we need to treat it with TLC, and completely different than maybe we have in the past. But it's a journey every day for her. Um, and she doesn't really talk openly about it, and it's not really admitted. Uh, I guess there's some level of denial there, but she's functional. She's functional. But I do understand and have empathy that it's a battle every day. Um, and instead of calling her up and being angry with her directly, it came out in a song. And the
Good,
song
yeah.
isn't angry. The song is um, really kind of crying out, like, come on.
Yeah.
We're not kids anymore. We're in our 50s. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's so true.
So
Some people never grow up. They can be 60s and 70s
I
and
know.
beyond. We see that with some leaders. Oh my gosh.
Yes, we do,
I
don't we?
just, what a circus the world can
Yeah.
be. Yeah, totally. And you close out the album with a great track called "Holding On to Jesus."
Thank you.
Your parents, yeah, 60 years. Mine were together a long time too. Yeah, more than half a century. It's just that really is an amazing feat.
Yes, it is.
Got it. You got to give them credit that way at least.
For sure. For sure. I mean, I think that's had an impact on my relationship lasting for 18 years so far.
Yeah.
Um, but I wanted to do a tribute to them, and I started writing that song a good while ago, and I just put it down because I couldn't, I was like, this is cheesy. I don't know what I want to say here. And then I dusted it off because my mom was turning 80 and they wanted me to sing at her party. I'm like, well, what am I going to sing? And I pulled those lyrics out and I rewrote that song and I performed it at her 80th birthday party. And
Oh, they must love that. Yeah,
she
that's great.
loved it. And it was really a wonderful moment.
Yeah. When did you pick up learning music? Did that just start when you were incredibly young or just much later on? Because you also got into basketball.
Right. And I'm short, by the way. I'm only 5'3".
Really?
Yeah,
Wow. I would
I
think
was
you
a
would be
point
really
guard.
tall.
I know everyone thinks that, but no,
You
I'm
scooted
short.
around everybody.
Exactly,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Um, I played, I took piano lessons for a number of years, 3 or 4, when I was maybe 10, 11, 12. Then I was too cool for piano. Um, stopped, quit that. Then definitely focused on sports and academics. But I got my first guitar in college and I'm self-taught. Um, I think I have had 3 lessons where I learned the scales,
Hmm.
which I never play. Uh, but I really believe, I mean, I always loved music. I was the music person with all my friends. I was always the DJ in the car, just deciding what we would listen to. Um, and then the Indigo Girls really inspired me to play guitar because I saw that video Closer to Fine.
Hmm.
And the
Yeah.
first thing I thought was, oh, I mean, that is what connected the dots for me about what was different about me. Just seeing these women.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I really wanted to, I was like, I want to be that good at the guitar. And so that's when I really got into it. And that was 89, I think, when I saw that video.
Hmm. Hmm.
1989.
Yeah. 35 years.
I
That's
should
a
be a
lot.
lot better than I am at guitar since I've been playing for so long. But I put it down, I'd pick it up, put it down for a few years, pick it up. And so I've been making up for lost time with that over the last 6, 7 years.
Yeah, I just love the harmonies, especially on that track. Good harmony is great. And then it harkens back to the Eagles. I mean, people just
Yeah.
like don't realize like how do you do that? It's just total magic.
Yeah. I loved the Eagles too. They were a big influence.
Yeah. Note for note, they're absolutely perfect. Seeing them live, and it's just like, wow, how much do you guys, they're so technically on the money. I've
Yeah.
never seen anything like that.
Yeah, you're right. They really are. It's cool.
Yeah. Well, it's been great speaking with you, and
Same.
best wishes on your future recordings and getting out there and touring. I'd love to see you here at Eddie's Attic. That would be really great. Maybe with Indigo Girls one night if they just,
Oh,
they've been known to just pop in there sometimes. I think it's been a long time since they've done that, but that would be really fascinating.
oh, sign me up. That's on my dream list.
Yeah.
And I'm a dream chaser, so you never know.
Yeah. There you go. Well, thanks for stopping by. It's been great
Thank you so
talking with
much,
you.
Bob.
Have a
Have
good
a great,
one.
you too.
Bye-bye.
All right.
And what a great time I had there with Steph. Really great artist. Really enjoyed our talk. So until next time, take it easy. And I promise more interesting folks on this podcast. Take care.